I guess the question is, if this IG report comes out as we expect it now, right before that December 11th testimony, does it, in essence, bolster Republicans even further to stand with the president if it's this painted picture of the beginning of the Russia investigation that has a lot of question marks?
Well, look, this is what the Republicans have been waiting for, and they're hanging a lot on this. There's a lot of expectations around this. It needs to deliver. I suspect there will be a lot of unhappy people, and I suspect that people like McCabe and others, Comey and others, are going to be very unhappy when all is said and done.
We should point out there's the IG report that deals with the FISA allegations, and then there's John Durham, the U.S. attorney from Connecticut, who's also doing a broader look at the beginning of the Trump probe.
Right. As important as this Inspector General report is, it is pretty limited. It's just about whether there was abuse of the FISA process. This was the way that the Justice Department was spying on members of the Trump campaign and how they convinced a court to allow them to do that. This has always been a question of either you had the Trump campaign colluding with Russia to steal the 2016 election, or you had some indication that there was some really bad behavior on the part of the Justice Department. And we have some indication. We're going to get a little bit more about that bad behavior as it relates to the FISA abuse. But Durham is looking into all sorts of things in addition to that as well.
We expect that to take a lot longer. I want to turn to 2020 very quickly. A new Iowa poll out has Pete Buttigieg up significantly, making a big jump, and you can see the up and down, 16 points there. Michael, what's interesting in the Iowa poll, number 2, is the president's approval among Iowa Republicans, still very strong at 85%, 76% saying they're definitely going to vote for the president.
Yeah, I mean, President Trump, despite everything, and you see these numbers nationally, there are some, surprisingly to some people, high numbers in favor of this impeachment process relative to the baseline approval numbers. But having said that, those approval numbers for President Trump have been very consistent, remarkably consistent. In the Democratic field, you're seeing churn. I think this lead is going to change hands many times over, and I wouldn't get too excited about one poll, but it is very interesting, particularly to see a somewhat more centrist candidate moving ahead.
Yeah, and South Carolina is a totally different picture for Pete Buttigieg, in part because of the African-American support. If you look at this poll among African-American voters in South Carolina out today, Pete Buttigieg is at 0%.
So not good. You're saying that's not good.
Not good. Behind Marianne Williamson, not singling her out, but among African Americans.
Pete Buttigieg not going to win the South Carolina. I think we can safely say Pete Buttigieg is not going to win the South Carolina primary. But if I'm Elizabeth Warren, who just 5 or 6 weeks ago people were talking about, oh, she can't be stopped, she's unbelievable. Pete Buttigieg, if he beats her in Iowa, if she loses New Hampshire to either him or Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren's going nowhere fast. Biden leads in Nevada in the most recent polling in Nevada. He leads in South Carolina by a doughty margin. It's hard right now for somebody to explain to me a good path for Elizabeth Warren today.
Doughty. I love the word doughty. Okay.